He was he was garrulous, but not garrulous in a friendly way. Yeah? He was always a storyteller, always somebody who had little anecdotes to say and to tell you, and of course a lot of humor. He had a lot of humor. Uh, he had a temper, but he never showed that actually in the theater. He probably showed it in his movie set, or in the movie uh, crew, cast and crew. Uh, let's see. He was always very down to earth about what he wanted to do, and at that time he was working on the seed of Tinimbangkang Ngunit Kulang, which he had already developed in his mind, and which he wanted to do. He wanted to write. He always proclaimed that he was going to write the script of that, and he would tell you stories. He would tell you, how he wanted to do it, etc. The story, etc. But he never did. Somehow, he got cold feet, I suppose, and he was very close to Mario O'Hara at that time. Mario was a radio talent, doing scripts and doing all sorts of voices. And Mario volunteered to write the script. I suppose because he said that I don't know if he had really designed, or he had wanted Mario to play the role of the leper, but Mario got impatient when, I suppose, Lino was he had talent for selling projects, telling people what he wanted to do, and convincing them of the viability of the story, the commercial aspect, etc., etc. And of course, Mario was sold on that, and since he was a very fast writer, he just sat down and did it for him. And I think in 2 weeks they were able to produce the script. That's how Tinimbang was born, really. Without Mario, I don't think he would have been able to do it. But he had already talked to Lolita, and Lolita was extremely excited about the project and about the role. What else? And he had organized Cine Manila. That was the first movie production company that his own, yes. So they banded together, his group, or his friends. Mon Pasicolan was involved. Mon at that time was the boyfriend of CB. So they established Cine Manila with Mario.
So Mario was part of that.
Yes, yeah. Dandy, I think. Dandy Nadras. That's it, I think, yeah. And he asked me if I wanted to invest, and I did a very small sum, but
For Tinimbang?
yeah. No, I wasn't part of it, but yeah, he was asking people to invest in the movie, etc., etc. And then he had talked to Christian Monsod, and who else? somebody else, I don't remember, but it was Christian who spearheaded the thing. I mean, he got sold on the project, and that's why it took off because of Christian Monson.
You met Lino sometime in the late 69,
Yes.
70, and
Yes.
then towards the early part of 70, 71, 72, that's when he started making movies, and then
Yes.
eventually making a name for himself. So the transition from theater to movies, you were there when that was happening.
Yeah, because of Balantitao, it was TV first, more than movies. He was traversing himself from TV work to movie work. He was always ashamed of the movie work, in a sense that he always said that it was a commercial money making thing for him, and that's why he had an ambition to do his own movies through Cine Manila, to come up with quality shows. But the ones he was doing for Lea, he would always say that those are commercial. The PETA aspect did the theater part of it, the acting, the managing of the drama, and then the technical, which was done in Pasong Tamo, the old what's his name, Manila Times studio. I don't even remember the channel. Channel 5? Was it Channel 5? Yeah. Okay. So they did the technicals there, which was always overnight. So from 6 to 6, that was the schedule of the taping.
So they were shooting in Sulaiman?
No, in the studio.
In the studio.
Yeah.
How was that? So if you're a theater director, you're suddenly in a studio.
Yes.
And there's a camera.
Well, you stage it. In other words, you rehearse it. You can rehearse it outside, but most of them don't. So I mean, most of us did it while the set was being prepared, or if there was a what do you call it? Production meeting a week before, where you declare your the set requirements. If you had 2-3 sets that were needed for the episode, and then they would film. You could film outside shots, like walking in the fields or in the slums. That's another day of scheduling. But the principal rehearsal was like Playhouse 90. Everything was done. Of course, not in live, Yeah. So you had time to rehearse it. You were given time to rehearse the scene, and then when you say okay, then Lupita takes over with the cameras.
And shoots it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting transition between theater and television, which at that time was becoming more popular.
Yeah, well, Cecile didn't think it was transition. It was just part of life.
You were the artistic director of PETA.
Only after Cecile left. Remember, there was martial law. So with martial law, they escaped. Her son, Alvarez, who was her boyfriend at that time, and Cecile left the country and left us all in a lurch. She didn't say goodbye or anything of the sort. So there was, I suppose we decided to have a meeting. There was a general meeting, and well, there were several meetings probably. I don't remember now, where we decided to reorganize. And then in the reorganizations, Lily Gamboa at that time, she was Lily Mendoza at that time, was elected chairman. And then I was elected artistic director. And I don't know what position Lino had at that time.
I think
I don't remember, but Lily, as chairman, had to leave for the States because she had a scholarship for New York. So she had to quit as the chairman, and then I think Lino took over at that point. That's when it really began as an organization, because with Cecile, she was the organization. Everything was really just her and what she commanded or what she thought had to be done. But Lino was always with her as PR. He would do all the what do you call it, the publicity articles for the place, and then even for Benilde, I think. Yeah. Well, remember at that time, I mean, it was just so difficult getting publicity for theater. There was nobody who was interested in it, and you'd have to send photos of the production to the editors, right? Which will never come back to you. But at that time, walang digital. Everything had to be, a specific format, and it had to be crisp, black and white. Yeah, and well, we didn't know anything about that. Lino did, so that was his turf. That was before. So after, he still, I think, did it, but he did now with several people as his staff. I don't quite remember who. You'll have to interview the better people, at least the ones who are still alive now. I mean, many have passed on. Okay. So that's it. I mean, that's.
Were you the artistic director when hanggang dito na lamang?
Yes.
At maraming salamat.
Yes. That was our great argument. Yes. I was. As artistic director, I had laid out a plan to produce classics first, and in the program or in the seasons, I wanted to concentrate on the classics and on established writers, Filipino writers, to what do you call it, to build an audience. We were interested not just in building a company, but to build an audience that would come back and enjoy theater. And then he came up with hanggang dito na lamang, and at that time I really thought it was poorly written. I mean, I think it's still a poorly written play. But for him, he had a nose for commercial projects, and it was that sparked his insistence on doing it. So of course he proved me wrong. The audience came, but that's.
So, was it also partly because there was a movie actor, or was because
Bembol? Yeah, Bembol. Yes.
What?
No, yes, of course. Yeah, no, he was using a lot of theater actors for his movie projects. In fact, a lot of the standouts in his movie projects were theater people. In Tinimbang, I mean, practically all of them were theater theater talents. Uh, I can't say the same of Maynila, but then I think
But
there
you
were
were
still
also,
yeah Maynila, and then the um, Tatlo Dalawa Isa,
Mhm.
no, the trilogy, and then what else? The 7 days. I don't know what that is about.
Lunes, Martes.
Lunes Martes. Yeah. They were all theater people. So he was good at that. Inviting people, theater people into the project. He was very aware of that the commercial Philippine audience were not interested in them. No, we're not in because they're not attractive facially, I would think. But he would always insist on propping up the project with stalwarts, with theater stalwarts who could give or what do you call it, proper dramatic expression in his movies. So he would use the stars as the main, and then
Yeah.
surround them with ensemble work. Yeah. Did I ever direct him? We were together in Waiting for Godot. No, I don't think so. Maybe I did, but I don't remember now. In No, I don't think so. No. Well, Lino was Daldalero. He in our rehearsals, he'd be forever talking about his experiences left and right in UP, etc., etc. And so he was a storyteller. So he would regale you with all sorts of anecdotes and all the kabastusan that happened in their group. He would tell you stories like that. So he was always very entertaining. Yeah.
Was he fun to be around?
Yes. He was always he was always the life of the not the show, of the party, Cecile was very much into it. In fact, that was always the split level or the bipolarity of Beta. We were so concerned about our the craft, because at that time we were just we were vaguitos. We didn't know who Stanislavski was. We were discovering who he was. That was a time when Fellini and Antonioni, the Italian greats, were doing wonderful movies, and we were trying to reflect all of these new trends. And then here we are, we're being barraged with this social commentary, and that we want to do something about the poor and the. Okay, I mean, yeah. Let's do it. It was rammed down our throats, which I didn't like. Yeah.
But you were there for around 5 years, thereabout.
Yes, more or less 68, 69 to about 74,
Uh-huh.
75. Yeah. I would say Tinimbang. Insian is supposed to be a masterpiece, but I have not seen it in the movies. I have not seen his version. I've downloaded it, but I have not been able to watch it. For some reason, the system
They
is.
restored it.
Yeah, I know. I downloaded the restored, but hindi ko ma-play. So I
Really?
haven't seen the version.
Okay.
Anyway, Insian is a special case.
Mhm.
I was with him when he first directed it as a TV project with Hilda,
Okay.
and we were all excited about it.
Uh-huh.
And Mario wrote Yeah, Mario wrote the screenplay, the teleplay, which was based on a story, a radio play by Melita Gasa or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he asked permission from Meli, or Meli had told him to do it or something like that. So he did, and that's very special to Mario. They had a difference. They had a quarrel about it. Did you know?
Meli and
No, Lino and Mario
oh,
about the movie version.
oh really?
In fact, Mario had not seen it. He died not seeing the movie version. Yeah, that's what he told me in his deathbed when I visited him.
Oh,
Yeah, so
on purpose.
on purpose. How can I? Again, it was the approach of Lino. He was, I guess, bending over to Pierre Resiat, and he was doing something that Mario did not like about the script, about the yeah. What that is, I can't, for the life of me, remember anymore. But he said yun ang kanilang matinding away. But it was a favorite of ours, Mario and I. Mario wanted to, I think, originally direct that. Maybe that was the dynamics. He was he held on to that, the script, and I think what Lino did was he bypassed him after a while, and I don't know who did the movie script. Did Mario do it? Was he credited? So I don't know. Yeah.
I'll check.
Yeah, Tinimbang, I suppose, is to me his most humane project. The rest, I don't know. He sort of driveled into semi-commercial, and I wouldn't want to use the word compromised projects, but I think that's what it was. All of his, especially the martial law projects.
The latter ones.
The latter ones. What were they?
Kapit Patalim.
Yes, yeah, and Jaguar, etc. I don't know. They were pseudo-Marxist.
Did you did not watch Maynila?
I did, yeah.
Oh, so you watch Maynila also.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you watched Tinimbang?
The premiere, we were there.
So you attended. Was he still with PETA during that time or not anymore?
Yes, he was.
Were you?
Yes.
You were still, okay.
Yes.
So were you all excited about this?
Yeah,
movie?
well, let's see. See Boyet,
Yes.
right? I had just directed in Godspell in
I
St. Paul.
I remember that.
Yes. Oh,
That
so
got a lot of press.
yes, that got a lot of press.
Yeah.
I suppose after, he also had a project with Nora, I think, at that time. He was whatever. He was courting her, I think, at that time. Yeah.
So you discovered Boyet?
I didn't discover him. I mean, well, technically, his first theater experience was with me in Godspell.
Uh-huh. And that's when he met Lino through you, and then he casted
Yeah.
Boyet for Tinimbang.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
He was already thinking of Tinimbang. Yeah, he's a Bagito then. He was
Well, how was it? Was it a musical, Godspell?
Godspell, yes, yeah.
So he sang.
Yes, yeah. He performed beautifully.
Can he sing?
Yes,
Ah,
he can.
Okay. So and then so he did you recommend him to Lino for Tinimbang?
No, it might be the other way around. I don't know if he was the one who recommended uh, Boya to me to do Godspell.
Godspell.
Yeah,
Ah,
I don't quite remember.
Mhm.
Because I wouldn't have known him. He auditioned, I suppose, way St. Paul kasi, I mean, this was a project of the class of Sina Baby Paterno.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it was the first project of Mother Socorro after a long time. You know, she had a string of successes with Sound of Music, etc., etc. Oh, we were all sold on the project.
Uh-huh.
We were all sold. That was a big to do because finally we're going to have our own Godard or our own Vittorio De Sica or somebody. So I mean, we were all for it. Yes, yeah. And he had lined up several projects. In fact, he asked me to direct one movie. Yeah. I couldn't find a story, I suppose. That's why I declined for the moment at that time. But he had lined up Mortal of Mario. He had several projects in line. I don't quite remember it now, but they were all ambitious. And I mean, he wanted. He actually said that he didn't want Cine Manila to be centered on him.
Uh-huh.
That he wanted, an array of directors. Right. Yeah. So he supported Portal, which bombed in the box office.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that of course mortally wounded the company.
Yeah.
So he had to sort of go into a commercial mode again. He was always on that survival mode of trying to pull everybody together. And he was furious at Johnny Leeton, who was head of Never Films, because he'd pull out the movie after 2 days, 3 days. So he said, why don't you give it a chance to build up, etc. But well, that's the name of the game, I suppose. Yeah.
But Tinimbang was a success.
Yes.
And also a critical success.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Even Father Catalino Arevalo wrote about it, or gave I don't know if it was a beautiful homily,
Mm-hmm.
or he gave a homily based on Tinimbang, which is very touching.
And
Yes.
it gave Christopher his best actor.
Yes, yeah.
And- So
There is a restored version of that movie, except that several episodes are missing in the restoration. I don't know, because he tried to preserve it, right? I mean, si Lino. So there were several reels, I think, that disappeared or that were cut out by the censors. The scenes that were missing were not censorable.
Mhm.
I remember one scene with Loris in the cemetery where she sees Boyet after, I think a year after, and it was just a passing scene. That's gone. There was another one, I think, I have to recall the episode, but there were several of them that is not anymore in the restored version. Yes, but Manila was already not, kasi hindi na yun hindi na yun Cine Manila. That was already Mike De Leon. So it was a separate effort, and parang it wasn't anymore born of PETA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not from the group. So yeah, but he was using still PETA actors for the project.
Yeah, I think he was hired as a talent.
Yes, I think so. Right. Yeah.
Viacom.
Yeah. And then Mike produced it, I think, didn't he?
He was a cinematographer.
Yeah, I know, but I think he put in a lot of money in it. After I left for a while, I had not talked to him. Let's see. The last time I saw him was when he saw Larawan, my version. He watched it in Tanghalan. We presented it with Armida and Irma as the sisters. Yeah, and he saw it, and then he congratulated me, and then he asked me to have dinner. So we had dinner, and as usual, I mean, parang nothing happened between us. And he started talking about his projects, which I don't quite remember anymore. But this is just a few months before he died.
So it's already in the 90s.
Yes.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, that's a while, huh?
Yes.
Since 1975.
I had not gone to PETA. I had not seen anything in PETA at that time.
Do you still see, what now? Do you watch plays in PETA?
Oh no, I've directed for them. Remember King Lear? I did there. I did Belong Puti. Yeah. We've reconciled. Yes.
And they won as Ramon Magsaysay.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Which is quite.
Yeah. Good for them. Yes. Let's see. When did he pass away? 1990. 91. We were about to go to. When did he die? What?
I think it was May. I'm not mistaken.
If I remember correctly, we were preparing to leave for Canada for a tour of Paglipas ng Dilim and another play, Paglipas ng Dilim. So we had about a 6-city tour in Canada. So I think it was before that we had dinner, and we caught up with each other. That's it. But no, I was still here when he died because I went to the wake in UP. It was just sudden, diba? I mean, it was a car accident. Yeah.
How did you hear about it?
Somebody must have called or something. I don't remember now. Wala pang text noon ata eh. Oh, yeah. 1990. Yeah, I was already. No, there might have been yung
Yung Pocket Bell.
Oh, Pocket Bell, maybe. I mean, yeah.
So you went to the wake?
Yes, yeah. It was in the Protestant chapel.
Okay.
In UP.
Did you go to the funeral?
No, that was in Nueva Ecija.
Not here. You said it was here lang in the...
Wasn't it in Nueva Ecija?
Well, Gina was saying it was a long procession.
No, I didn't go. I went to the wake, but I didn't go to the funeral. How would you put it? Lino was essentially a theater person. I would say more than movies. Even his movie work had theatrical elements that were not cinematic in approach. I mean, he is not a Brillante Mendoza at all. His approach was always melodrama, and his gateway was melodrama. He was never embarrassed by it. He always thought that that's the Pinoy way, and he never shunned it. That approach. The melodrama, of course, is rooted, I think, in his theater work more than anything else. He can always say that it comes from the comics, and of course from his love for movies, etc., etc. I give him that, but he was a theater person. I don't know how to explain that. Whenever he said, if you ask me to judge an artwork, right, he will tell you by instinct that it's good, but he'd never be able to explain it. That's what he would say, right? So even in theater and in movies, especially the intellectual ones, he'd be able to say, I'd be able to spot what is authentic and what is true from what is pretentious. He would know by instinct, he said. That's theater and movies. I think his importance in the movie world is the fact that he brought it to an artistic level that our movie world was not especially welcome to, not necessarily. How would you put it? The vocabulary and the way that theater movie audiences in his time, he said there was a distinct world that is not part of an artistic world, and what he wanted to do was to bring the art and craft into that milieu. And he was, I think, the principal mover in relation to that. I don't think you would get anyone now talking of Love Diaz or Brillante Mendoza without him. Not that he opened doors in Europe, but I think he just widened the horizon, right, to include thinking movies instead of just the commercial, emotional doggerel that you would usually get, the Dolphy kind of, or even the recipe formula of let's say FPJ. He was trying to always work with those formulas and work not against it but within it, and to sort of explode it and transcend it.
Yeah.
Whether he did it or not is, I think, for a critic to say, not me. But I think that was his objective. It was his ambition, and I respected him for that. It was his mission in life, if you want to put it that way.
Did you know Bernal?
No, I mean I knew him, but in the
You did not cross.
the most superficial way. Yeah, we would talk. We would have conversations, but not
So
anything deep.
you were friends. You were.
Yes. No, I invited him to do. Let's see. I asked him to direct Butch Dalisay play. God, what is that? Makmaliksi. So he was the original director of Makmaliksi in Tanghalang Pilipino.
Oh.
That's the only time that I think we sort of worked together, but I as artistic director and then giving him the project. But
And he said yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
he did
did
it.
that.
Yeah. But at that time, he was sick already. So I mean, he was slowing
In the
down.
90s also.
Maybe, yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
After you left PETA, you stayed away from theater for 8 years.
Yeah.
So you came back around early 80s to theater.
Yes, maybe 80s. I don't know when the Biyaheng Timog was, 82, 83. Yeah.
And it was this with Tanghalan.
No, that was with Tony Espejo's group, Bulwagan.
Bulwagan.
Because the play that he had asked me to do was a winner of the CCP contest.
Mm-hmm.
So he was looking for a director, and Tony insisted that I direct it because he wanted to direct it.
So that brought you out of your theater retirement.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I did it for Tony, and I mean for Tony Perez, and yeah, I guess so. Yeah, at the Bulwagan, the small theater.
And then after that, you went to Ateneo. You put up or you were part of Ateneo. Was it?
No, I never worked in Ateneo.
Okay.
I was teaching in UP. I was teaching printmaking and humanities, art appreciation, and also in '86, Ray Albano died, and Tita King asked me to take over his position as curator of the galleries at CCP.
That's a CCP.
Yes, that's how I ended up there. In other words, when EDSA happened and Nick became artistic director, I was in New York. I was directing Biyaheng Timog also in New York at that time. And then he called me up and said, well, can you come back and head the theater? I said, I'm already the the head of the visual arts, the museum. So he said, well, can you do both? So I said, well, okay, I'll come back after a few months, because I had stayed there for about nine months. I was thinking of staying longer, but he told me to come home because he was fighting with Rolando Tino at that time. And wanted to establish a new theater company. That's how Tanghalang Pilipino was organized. Because they had philosophical differences, Tijo and Nick.